Alright everybody, I've been stalling on this one for the whole series. It may be my most dearly held value, personally. It's not in the cards, but it is in the fruits. It's kindness. Well, hey everybody, I'm Nick Walton. I'm a coffee roaster, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a wee little farmer, and I can't stop thinking about the invisible scripts that run our lives. You're listening to The Value Sort. This is a field guide to the values that shape the patterns of thinking and behaviors that end up shaping our entire lives. This is not a numbered essay. You're in the bonus essays, baby, and we're talking about kindness. I have established that I'm not necessarily kind naturally. I'm also not always kind today, now, currently in my life. I want to avoid claiming kindness as a central part of who I am intrinsically. I'm certainly not kinder than average, and maybe less. I am prone to road rage. Nothing too out of hand, you understand. No roadside fisticuffs, except that one time with my brother. It's often, but not always, a sense of justice. How dare you cut me off? Go faster than me? You go slower than me? The gall! You know what I'm saying? There's a clogged-bowel stretch of highway near my home. The road goes from one lane to 2 lanes, but only for a couple of miles, and then back down to 1 lane. And there's not a whole lot of passing lanes ahead of these, and it's one of these classic places where wine-tasting tourists do 20 miles an hour lower than the limit, and it just makes the locals insane. And some local jackass is always trying to pass 19 cars in that passing lane, and I am often that jackass. Once, sometime back, on that stretch of highway, a man wouldn't let me merge, if you can imagine. We yelled at each other through open windows. I horrified my wife. Another time, several years ago, I had a word battle with a man in the worst place in modern lawlessness, the Costco parking lot, again making my wife shrink with embarrassment. These are examples not only of an unkindness towards strangers, but inconsideration towards my wife, who I know very well, which is a certain flavor of unkindness in itself. It's fairly easy to talk about unkindness. It's more difficult to talk about the consequences that sometimes present themselves. My wife shrinks, and in that shrinking, a little distance is caused between us, a little rift, and the rift requires energy on both our parts to close. And sometimes one of us, or both of us, don't have the energy to heal right away, to heal quickly, and it stays a while, and it festers, and it begins to be poison that sinks into our bones and into everyday conversations, everyday life, everyday decisions. Now, I think I consider myself a lucky one, because every single time this has happened in our lives, we've chosen to do the hard work of coming back together. But this unkindness is the stuff of divorces all the time. We have all seen them unfold. Sometimes it's some great unkindness, like infidelity. But often it's little things, left unchecked and unmanaged and unapologized for. Unrepentant unkindnesses that spins itself into rancorous hatred that begets even greater unkindnesses. When I think of kindness, I think of my friend who I took $250 off of. But it wasn't just him, you know. It was his wife, too. She was there. It was her money, too. The whole reason I knew the PIN code for the card is that they lived their lives so very open-handedly. I shared in their electricity, and I didn't help with the water bill. I used their internet with abandon. I bought big, dumb, wet fish tanks into their home. I shared their awesome, huge apartment watching town go by from an old fire escape. An exciting city boy experience for a farmer like me. Eventually, I shared in their musicality. I love Jackson Browne and Mike Scott and the Bare Naked Ladies to this day because of them, and I shared at their table. They fed me and they even clothed me. Our lives had been so differently informed up until that point. I moved in with a cocky political swagger, a dismissiveness of other people and their ideas. I made dumb jokes and messes I did not clean up. I was a child, but I was old enough to grow the heck up. You may recall the story. I was about 18-ish. I was living with a family who had taken me in. I knew of no other place to go, and one day I got wild and I grabbed the debit card from the countertop and I walked downstairs and I walked across the street and I pulled $250 right the hell out of their account. And I do not know what I was thinking. To say I wasn't thinking is letting me off the hook too easily. I knew what I was doing, and I did it. And you know the rest of the story. A little bit of humiliation, and then immediate grace, mercy, forgiveness. These things come not only from my friend, to whom I played sidekick for a good part of my late teens and early 20s, but from his wife as well. She's the one that taught me to move the heck over and make room on the bench, even when it hurts. She taught me that move. He loved me because he's got a soft spot for long shots, embodying some of those traits himself. She had her shit together and loved me for no really good reason. Her kindness and his has remained all of these years, and now I have them as a prize. Our love for one another is the prize of their kindness. I get to be a winner, and I'm grateful. Shouting impotently alone in my car notwithstanding, I am pretty kind most of the time, and that's because I value it, largely because of them. I value having kindness shown to me, and more every day, I value being a source of kindness to the people in my life. Now today I do crave it. I want to practice it and do it better. Like anything, it requires practice to do well. Part of what makes kindness complex to talk about or even to think about is that it gets confused in my head with niceness, and they are not the same thing. Nice invites you for dinner. Kind scrapes food off its plate and onto yours. Nice was inviting me into a home. Kind was not kicking me out when I stole. Nice was a gesture. Kind is a sacrifice. Nice is nice, and kind is deeper. Kind is stronger. They're similar. Nice, I guess, is like kind junior. They can be confused for one another, but they are not the same. Today the bench belongs to me, and it's my turn to make room on the bench as often as I can, as much room as I can for as many people as I can. I have mentioned the small person living in proximity to me who is not my native-born child. This experience is providing me many opportunities to be nice through gritted teeth and many opportunities to choose kindness. And I can report that broadly and generally speaking, I am choosing that kindness. It's difficult to write about. Today, as I write this, their future with us is unknown. Perhaps by the time this publishes, they will not be with us anymore at all. This situation is requiring me to make room on my bench, and it is comparatively easy for me to make room for a child, a young child, who has endured enough tough breaks and hard knocks in their short little life. But I need to make room for others who are easier to forget, to take for granted. My bench is getting full, but I can make room. I can make space for my eldest child who is becoming an adult and who needs me now more than ever to take up the slack in our relationship, no matter how tired I am, no matter how much I wish they'd meet me in the middle. I want to remember my own 18-year-old self and work hard to draw that line in closer, even as they begin to pull slack out. It will require me doing the moving. I will need to follow her dance steps instead of expecting her to follow mine. My bench is getting full, but I can make room. I can observe how confusing this life, this specific situation with the young child is for my middle kid. I can see them where and for who they are, and I can take steps to build up and encourage, even when I'm tired and it might be easier to allow the entropic universe to drag us closer to apathy. My bench is getting full, but I can make room. I can still be soft and tender with my youngest child as they admit quietly that they're not really okay through this whole thing of life. I can put my elbows out and I can guard our relationship. I can never let go. My bench is getting full, but I can make room. I can show my wife compassion and love. I can do the hard work of seeing things from her perspective. I can sacrifice for her and give my own so that she has enough. I can pile my plate full in life so that I have plenty to scrape onto others. My bench is getting full, but I can make room. I can make room for this kid who right now just needs me to be the nuts and bolts of a dad in their life. Not the dad, not your new dad, just a dad. Here, now, today, I will perform that function. They don't need to know that 10 years from now, by hook or by crook, I will be there for them still. My job, my kindness now, is simply proving that I've got good dad energy. Look, it's not easy, and I am no paragon of kindness. I yelled at the Costco guy. I did that, and I have other examples. Just don't you worry. But I do think that the first step is at least wanting it. You know what I mean? The first step is cultivating the willingness to do with less, to repair what's broken, to make room on the bench. My friend's wife didn't have to make room for an 18-year-old thief. My wife doesn't have to forgive me when I rage at strangers. My kids don't have to keep showing up when I'm tired and distant. But they do, and that's the mycorrhiza. That's the network underpinning us all. Kindness isn't niceness. It's not always easy, and it's certainly not always clean. It's the choice to keep making room even when the bench is full, even when you're exhausted, even when you feel the person doesn't deserve it. I'm still learning. I still rage on that clogged bowel of a highway, but I'm trying, and maybe that's the first step, wanting to be kinder than you currently are. We try, we fail, we try again. We reach into our roots for the strength to try it a different way. My bench is getting full, but I can always make more room.